You've probably seen those endless streams of people cranking out 10, 12, even 20 different ab moves in a single session, and it feels like the only way to get a rock-solid core. But what if I told you that most of those repetitions are wasted, that you're actually sabotaging your own progress by overdoing it? In the next few minutes, I'm going to strip away the hype and reveal the exact number of ab exercises you truly need to build a strong, functional core. No more, no less. Stay with me because the answer will surprise even the most seasoned gym goers. Hey, I'm a certified strength coach who spent years watching the same misguided routines play out in gyms around the world. The truth is, most ab circuits are built on the myth that more is always better, and that myth keeps people stuck in a cycle of endless crunches that never deliver real results. Today, we'll break down the anatomy of the core, debunk the more is better belief, and give you a step-by-step plan that fits any schedule, whether you train 3 days a week or 7 days a week. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how many exercises, sets, and reps you need to see measurable progress. Let's start with the quantity myth. Doing a dozen different ab moves sounds impressive, but the core is a muscle group that needs recovery just like any other part of your body. After 3 or 4 quality exercises, the nervous system stops delivering fresh stimulus and you hit a point of diminishing returns. The dose-response curve for core training flattens out, meaning that every extra rep beyond that point adds very little to strength and may actually increase fatigue. Overtraining the abs can weaken your lower back, cause lingering soreness, and ultimately set you back in the very muscle chain you're trying to improve. So if you're spending half an hour on endless crunches, what are you really gaining? Now, a quick anatomy refresher. Your core isn't just the six-pack you see in the mirror. It's a complex system made up of 4 main players. First, the rectus abdominis runs down the middle of your abdomen and gives you that classic six-pack look, but it only handles flexion, like when you curl your torso forward. Next, the external and internal obliques sit on the sides and are responsible for rotation and side bending. They work together to stabilize you when you twist or reach. Then there's the transverse abdominis, the deepest layer which acts like a natural corset, compressing your abdomen and providing intra-abdominal pressure that protects your spine. Finally, the erector spinae group along the back works in concert with the front muscles to keep your torso rigid. Ignoring any one of these components means you're training an incomplete core, and you'll miss out on the functional strength that translates to everyday movement and athletic performance. Because each of these muscles has a distinct role, you only need a handful of carefully chosen movements to hit them all effectively. Think of it like a balanced diet. You don't need a dozen different foods to get all the nutrients. You need the right mix of protein, carbs, and fats. The same principle applies to core work. A well-designed routine will include a flexion exercise for the rectus, a rotation move for the obliques, an anti-extension or anti-rotation hold for the transverse, and a posterior chain exercise to tie everything together. When you focus on quality, range of motion, and proper breathing, you'll see stronger, more stable results in a fraction of the time. If this is blowing your mind, hit that subscribe button and let's keep exploring together. In the next part, we'll dive into the specific exercises that hit each of those 4 muscle groups, how many sets and reps are optimal, and how to structure your core training across the week for maximum recovery and growth. Stay tuned. So let's break it down exercise by exercise, starting with the frontline mover for the six-pack, the rectus abdominis. The classic crunch still has a place, but only if you execute it with full range of motion and a controlled tempo. Think of lowering your shoulders just a fingertip above the floor, then driving upward until your ribs meet your hips, exhaling on the way up. Pair that with a hanging knee raise, which adds a hip flexor component and forces the rectus to work harder as the torso lifts. If you have access to a decline bench, a decline sit-up adds a slightly different angle, further recruiting the upper fibers. For most people, rotating through these 3 movements, standard crunch, hanging knee raise, and decline sit-up, covers the full spectrum of vertical flexion. Aim for 3 sets of 12 to 15 repetitions of each, resting 30 seconds between sets. Keep the tempo steady, 2 seconds down, 1 second pause, 2 seconds up. This cadence maximizes time under tension, without sacrificing form. Moving to the sides, the external and internal obliques thrive on rotational and lateral flexion work. A seated Russian twist with a lightweight or medicine ball is a staple, but the key is to keep your spine neutral and to twist from the ribs, not just swing to weight. For a more functional twist, try a standing cable wood chop, which also engages the hips and shoulders, mimicking the mechanics of a golf swing or a tennis serve. Side planks are the ultimate anti-lateral flexion hold. They force the obliques to stabilize the spine while you resist gravity. Alternate between a dynamic side plank hip dip and a static hold to hit both endurance and strength. Again, 3 sets per movement works well, with repetitions in the range of 10 to 12 for the dynamic twists and 30 to 40 seconds per side for the static holds. Remember to breathe. Exhale as you rotate or lift. Inhale as you return to the starting position to keep intra-abdominal pressure optimal. Now for the deep core, the transverse abdominis, which acts like a natural corset. The dead bug is a perfect primer. Lie on your back, arms reaching toward the ceiling, knees bent at 90 degrees, then extend the opposite arm and leg while keeping the low back flat on the floor. The movement pattern forces the transverse to engage to prevent spinal arching. Once you've mastered that, progress to a hollow body hold, where you lift both shoulders and feet off the ground, creating a boat-like shape. The goal is to maintain a rigid, hollowed torso for a set duration. For both of these, start with 3 sets of 15 seconds, gradually building up to 45 seconds as you gain control. The progression is all about quality, not quantity. A 10-second perfect hold beats a 30-second sloppy one. Finally, you can't neglect the posterior chain because a truly balanced core needs the back muscles to work in concert with the front. The bird dog is a simple yet effective movement. Start on all fours, extend the opposite arm and leg, hold for a breath, then return to center. This challenges the erector spinae, glutes, and even the lower traps, reinforcing spinal stability. For a slightly heavier stimulus, incorporate a Superman raise, lie face down, lift chest and legs simultaneously, hold briefly, then lower. Perform 3 sets of 10 to 12 repetitions, focusing on a smooth, controlled motion. With those 4 categories covered, you have a complete toolbox that hits every major core player without overwhelming your schedule. The next step is to decide how often to train. Research shows that training a muscle group 2 to 3 times per week, with at least 1 full day of rest between sessions, yields the best blend of strength gains and recovery. A practical weekly layout could look like this. Day 1. Focus on the rectus and transverse with crunches, hanging knee raises, and dead bugs. Day 2. Rest or light cardio. Day 3. Target the obliques and posterior chain with Russian twists, side planks, and bird dogs. Day 4. Active recovery, such as yoga or mobility work. Day 5. Repeat the day 1 sequence, perhaps swapping the decline sit-up for a cable crunch to keep the stimulus fresh. Day 6. Day 7. Light core activation if you feel up to it. Otherwise, full rest. This pattern ensures each muscle gets ample stimulus while also receiving the recovery it needs to adapt. Progressive overload is the secret sauce that turns a static routine into a growth engine. For body weight movements, you can increase the difficulty by adding tempo variations. Slow the eccentric phase to 4 seconds, or hold a contraction at the peak for a few seconds. For weighted exercises, simply add a small increment of resistance, whether it's a light dumbbell, a kettlebell, or a resistance band. The key is to make each session just a notch harder than the last, without sacrificing form. Keep a simple log. Note the exercise, the set and rep scheme, the weight or tempo, and how you felt. Over weeks, you'll see clear trends in strength and endurance. Now, let's address a common misconception. Many people think that a strong core equals visible abs. While a well-developed core certainly contributes to a tighter midsection, visibility is largely dictated by body fat percentage, nutrition, and genetics. If your goal is a chiseled six-pack, you'll need to pair this efficient core program with a calorie-controlled diet and overall cardio or metabolic conditioning. But if your primary aim is functional strength, better posture, reduced lower back pain, improved athletic performance, this concise routine is more than enough. Before we wrap up, I want to leave you with a quick mental checklist to run through before each core session. First, engage the core by gently pulling your belly button toward your spine. You should feel a slight tension in the deep muscles. Second, set a clear intention. Are you focusing on strength, endurance, or stability? Third, choose the appropriate exercise from the 4 categories, making sure you're not repeating the same movement 2 days in a row. Fourth, monitor your breathing. Exhale on the effort, inhale on the release to maintain optimal intra-abdominal pressure. And finally, finish with a brief stretch or foam roll session for the lumbar region, which helps maintain mobility and prevents tightness. If you've made it this far, you now have a clear, science-backed blueprint for how many ab exercises you truly need. Just 4 well-chosen movements, performed with intention, frequency, and progressive overload. Give it a try for the next 4 weeks. Track your progress, and you'll likely notice stronger lifts, steadier balance, and perhaps even a firmer midsection, all without spending endless minutes on the floor. What do you think? Have you tried a minimalist core routine before, or do you still favor high-volume ab circuits? Drop a comment below, and let's discuss. If this breakdown helped you cut through the noise and find a simpler path to a stronger core, give the video a thumbs up. And if you'd like more evidence-based fitness guides, consider subscribing so you won't miss the next deep dive. Thanks for watching. Stay consistent and keep building that solid foundation from the inside out.